So, this is horrible. In case you've been living under a rock, um, or you just only pay attention to mainstream media and you don't really, I mean, New York Post is mainstream media, and they're one of the few people actually covering this. But but yeah, if you've been, unless you've been living under a rock, then you know that the Ukrainian refugee girl, the hell was her name again? I apologize for being a terrible person. Uh, Iryna Zarutska. Yeah, Iryna Zarutska. The Ukrainian refugee girl who was brutally stabbed to death by a random black guy on a train in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Uh, he's been arrested. They got him dead to rights. Somebody started a GoFundMe for him to cover his legal expenses. Now, to be fair, the guy was allegedly homeless and had like no family or anything he could um, anything like that. So whoever started this on his behalf is just likely somebody trying to grift off of it. Like, it was just like, I'll start this thing and a bunch of stupid black people will donate money to it. I'll get it up to a few $1,000s, whatever, however much. And then once, not just stupid blacks, but also stupid whites, stupid people in general. But anyway, a bunch of stupid people will donate to it. I'll get it up to a few $1,000s. I'll cash it out, and then I'll just disappear with the money. However, I also wouldn't put it past some retarded race hustler to start this and claim that Decarlos Brown is getting a bad rap because of racism or some shit. So it could be either or. But luckily, GoFundMe pulled it down and refunded everybody who donated to it. So GoFundMe actually did a good thing for once. Yeah, these funding platforms, these GoFundMe, GiveSendGo, all these things, they probably shouldn't allow users to use their platform to raise money for the defense of murderers. At least not murderers like Decarlos Brown, in which they're literally on video. You see their full face. They're arrested a few minutes later, covered in the victim's blood with the murder weapon, like open and shut cases where there really is like no defense for him. But good on GiveSendGo to get rid of it. But anyways, like a shout out to the New York Post. So let's yeah. GoFundMe has yanked sickening online fundraisers for the maniac accused of murdering a Ukrainian refugee on a North Carolina train after the legal defense fund sparked widespread outrage. The fundraising pages suggested that Carlos Brown Jr., a career criminal with no fewer than 14 arrests, is just as much of a victim as Iryna Zarutska, the woman seen being knifed dozens of times in a random attack. I actually have tried to find the unedited video because I'm curious how many times she got stabbed. Like, I don't like to see that type of stuff, but I felt like for posterity's sake, I was just like, well, I didn't want to be, I was willing to kind of take one for the team in that case. It's like, no, I'll watch it, you know. Even though seeing that stuff does just really upset me. Helping the 35-year-old homeless suspect would also support the fight against the racism and bias against our people, one fundraiser reckoned. So, yeah, multiple fundraisers have already popped up to raise money for him. And the majority of them are raising money just so they can cash it out and take the money. They're trying to raise, like, it's never going to go to him, a lot of it. But I also wouldn't be shocked if a few of these are genuine. Like, they were going to take the money and try to, like, give it to a lawyer or put it in some kind of legal trust or some shit like that to use for his defense. But yeah, it's exactly what I said. Fight against the racism and bias against our people. There's like okay, so this was a racist attack. I guarantee the only reason why I'm speculating here, but I guarantee the only reason why Decarlos Brown Jr. attacked Iryna Zarutska is because she was a white woman. I guarantee that was the only thing. If it had been a black girl sitting in front of him, he probably wouldn't have done anything. So yeah. And I mean, this is not a case of like racial bias in the justice system. He fucking did it. He's on video doing it. The police caught him shortly after he did it with the murder weapon on him, covered in the victim's blood. Like, there's no version of this where he didn't do it or he was set up or railroaded. He is not a innocent victim. Like, neither was Michael Brown, but there's not even any like maybe information about Michael. Like, there was like for a while there was kind of like, well, maybe Michael Brown, but then it came out later on that the hands up, don't shoot thing was a complete bullshit. And then the video came out of him robbing the store. But oh yeah, their last name's both Brown. I didn't even mean for that connect. I didn't even make that connection at first. But like at first there was some like controversy, but then we got like the multiple independent autopsy reports that said the only way he could have get shot the way he did is if he was charging at the officer, blah 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 blah, all these things. So there's nothing like that. There's no controversy. Or the dude who was beat to death in the back of the police van. There's no like controversy around this. There shouldn't be anyway. This man did it. Everybody knows he did it. We're almost certain now. He's clearly mentally ill, but anybody who would just randomly murder someone for any reason of any race, just randomly at the drop of a hat, just pull out a knife and stab someone in the neck 6 times, or however many times he got stabbed, they are mentally ill. That doesn't take his motives off the table, and I firmly believe that his motives are racial. He saw a white woman and he decided to kill her. Helping the 35-year-old homeless suspect would also support the fight. All right, I already read that part. My bad. Yep. Here's a picture of her. She seemed like she was a very pretty girl. She's only 23, like a Ukrainian refugee. And I believe I said this on the show when I first covered this because we cold opened the show and it was the first story we covered this past Saturday. But ideally, I don't want refugees from anywhere in the world coming here for any reason. This includes Ukrainian refugees. I don't care that they're like they're one of the few groups of people who are, first of all, genuinely fleeing a war-torn country where women even are being conscripted to fight in a war and children are being killed. Now, not genocide. It's nothing like Gaza or anything like that, but it's collaterally kids are getting caught up in it. It's like they're genuinely, and the ones that are coming here are the vast majority of them are women and children, not military age men, and they're just being quiet and keeping their heads down and not being shitheads. And she didn't deserve this, but the fact, like, ideally, I wouldn't want anyone coming here, even them, but they're here. She's here. She was even wearing her work uniform. I don't know if she was coming home from work or heading to work, or it's possible she was just wearing like the hat and the t-shirt of a pizza place. As far as like I don't think it's been confirmed that she actually worked there or not, like 100%. But she like wearing the hat and the t-shirt and had her hair up in a bun, kind of looked like she was heading to work or possibly coming home from work. Either way, but still, she's working a job. She's being quiet. Everything's fine. Like she's not doing anything. She didn't deserve this. Quote, while what happened on the Blue Lane was a tragedy, what we mustn't lose sight of is the fact that Decarlos Brown Jr. was failed categorically by the judicial system and the mental health services of North Carolina, and as such is not entirely to blame for what happened, one page claimed. He is 100% to blame for what happened. I do not care how mentally ill he is. This is his fault. The man had been arrested 14 times. He had multiple felonies, multiple convictions. He should not have been on the street. He should have still been in prison. And if he was too mentally ill for prison, then he should have been in a high security mental asylum. Shutting down the sanitariums is one of the worst things our country ever did. But no, this is 100% his fault. Yep, here she is with, I don't know where this was taken. I don't know if this was taken in America or if this when she was younger and this was in Ukraine before, the war. I'm not sure where. But she's sitting here with, I don't know, friends, possibly family. That's maybe a boyfriend. Nice little doggo. Like she seemed, at least from what we know about her, she seemed like a decent person. Like just a sweet, innocent girl who wasn't hurting anybody. And then she got brutally murdered by this black guy for no reason. Quote, raising money to assist with legal fees for Decarlos Brown Jr. Anything helps fight against the racism and bias against our people. Thank you for giving us a hand to push against this corrupt narrative. Another fundraiser spewed. What narrative? He's on video. That's him. That's him stabbing her. That's him opening the knife to stab her. That is him in the act of stabbing her. What bias? What's the corrupt narrative? He fucking murdered someone in cold blood. The calls for cash sparked immediate fury after horrific surveillance video showed a killer pulling out a pocket knife and savagely attacking a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee on August 22nd, leaving the train carriage covered in blood. Quote, "You can't make this up. He allegedly murdered in cold blood, yet his supporters want you to think he was failed by the system. Instead, he did exactly what the system wants him to do," one person posted on X. Which is, of course, be a violent psychopath and, murder people and, yeah. Quote, "What kind of sick human is donating to this monster? GoFundMe should be ashamed." Another rage. Now, these are all like X posts or social media posts and stuff like that. See, look, she's very pretty. That's like the fact that she's so young, even if she was a guy, like it's still tragic. But the fact that she was just a young, pretty girl, you know, who knows like what her aspirations were. Like hopefully she wasn't a girl boss, but even if she was, like she still didn't deserve this. But like, maybe she just like was just like, I'm just gonna work this job and then maybe I'm gonna find a guy and I'm gonna settle down and have kids or what, like, whatever. Or she was maybe, she could have been like, I'm so grateful for America for taking me in. I'm gonna stay forever. I'm gonna try to become a citizen. Like who knows? All of these possibilities have been snuffed out because one asshole decided to kill her for no reason. Quote, "Anyone who donated to the GoFundMe for Decarlos Brown should be named and fucking shamed," another person chimed in angrily, noting that he is accused of having killed an innocent woman. Quote, "Race has fuck all to do with it. There would be absolute rage if the race was reversed." No, race has everything to do with it. And yes, there would be absolute rage if the roles were reversed. If this were just some random white dude who brutally murdered a black woman who was a refugee from fucking Sudan or wherever the fuck, the blacks would be rioting in the streets over this. But like, no, race does have to do with it because he only killed her because she's white. And that's pure speculation on my part. I will concede again, but I am 100% confident that that was the case. He would not have killed her if she had been any other race, especially if she was black. He wouldn't have killed her. He might have killed her if he was Asian. He might have been more likely to kill her if he was Asian, if we're being completely honest here. Another said, no, he wasn't the victim of a broken judicial system. The only victim here is Iryna. I can't believe people are fundraising for him, another said. The platform moved to delete the pages as backlash mounted and screenshots of the psychotic fundraiser spread like wildfire on social media. Quote, GoFundMe's terms of service explicitly prohibit fundraisers that raise money for the legal defense of anyone formerly charged with an alleged violent crime, GoFundMe said in a statement. Quote, consistent with this long-standing policy, this fundraiser has been removed from the platform and the donors who controlled the fundraisers have been fully refunded. Good. Brown, who is homeless, has more than a dozen convictions dating back to 2014, court records show. He has been charged with murder in the wake of Zarutska's slaying. Meanwhile, a fundraising page set up for the victim's family has since raked in well over $75,000. Good. Good for them. And I'm sure that $75,000 with the exchange rate will go a long way in Ukraine or wherever her family is. Maybe her whole family came over as refugees. I don't know. But, regardless. It's a terrible tragedy. The people trying to grift off this tragedy are shit human beings who are going to burn in hell if such a place exists. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Feel free to comment. Like the channel, like the video, and sub to the channel, and follow the links. Sub to all my other channels, and check out the gaming channel on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and check out Clown World Chronicles on Saturday morning. And throw me a fundraiser.